You're listening to an Airwave Media Podcast.
Feel like who art Ed?
Try to spice it.
Who art is Mr. Wood art Ed me?
Good. Either way, it's ambiguous. It works on so many levels.
I know.
That's off to a great start.
Welcome to Who Arted, weekly art history for all ages. I'm your host, Kyle Wood, and today we're going to be looking at Ansel Adams. But before we get started on that, I do want to say a big thank you to everyone who's been listening and everyone who's left kind ratings or reviews and told friends about the show, because I have noticed that we've had a big spike in listeners. I'm up like 1,000 listeners this month compared to last month, and that is only because you have taken the time to like, subscribe, tell others about the show, and just it really means a lot to me that some people enjoy what I'm doing. So it's tremendously validating, and thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Hopefully you'll continue to enjoy and listen as I am playing daily mini episodes from now up until the start of the annual Arts Madness tournament. I'm playing daily mini episodes so you can learn about all 64 different artists and artworks in this year's tournament, and you'll be able to vote for your favorites starting the last week in February, as we'll have 6 weeks of head-to-head matches going from 64 down to one ultimate artist. But right now, I want to get on to our actual topic for today, Ansel Adams. Now, photography is an interesting medium. Today, just about everyone is walking around with a camera in their pocket all the time. We take so many pictures so effortlessly, it can be easy to overlook the complexity of the medium, which blends art and science. I must confess, I am not a particularly great photographer. I mean, I like to think I have a somewhat decent eye for composition, but largely I find that I only get good photos because I take a ton of photos. And with large numbers, some are bound to be good just by sheer chance. The truth is, anyone can take a great photo, but don't confuse occasionally getting a great photo with being a great photographer. When looking at a photographer's body of work, their success rate in capturing great photos is much higher. As someone who has studied just a little bit of the chemistry behind different photographic processes, I'm even more amazed when I see the success of photographers like Ansel Adams. He didn't have the instant feedback of a digital device. 100 years ago, taking a photograph meant more than simply pressing a button. It meant focusing the lens, choosing an aperture, choosing an exposure time, developing the film, then enlarging it on a sheet of paper. With a finite number of frames on a roll of film, it was important to make each one count. What I love about Ansel Adams is that he not only made each picture count in the sense of capturing great-looking images, he used his photos to advocate for conservation. He was also bold in experimentation, pushing boundaries and innovating in the medium he loved. His iconic black and white photographs of the American West, especially Yosemite National Park, are instantly recognizable and have made him a legend in the world of art. But behind the stunning images lies a fascinating life filled with passion, persistence, and a deep love for the natural world. Ansel Adams was born February 20th, 1902 in San Francisco, California. He was a lively and hyperactive child. Traditional schooling was a struggle for him. He preferred exploring the sand dunes near his home, overlooking the Golden Gate, the entrance to the San Francisco Bay. When Ansel was just 4 years old, he experienced the famous 1906 San Francisco earthquake. During an aftershock, he was thrown to the ground and broke his nose. It remained slightly crooked for the rest of his life. Ansel's father was a kind and understanding man who recognized that his son was not quite suited for traditional school and decided to homeschool him. He encouraged Ansel's interests, which initially leaned actually towards music. Ansel Adams showed incredible talent as a pianist, but he wasn't sitting back and coasting on talent alone. He practiced for hours every day. He even dreamed of becoming a concert pianist. Music instilled in him a sense of discipline and an appreciation for structure and form, elements that would later show up in his photography. Now, everything changed in 1916 when the Adams family took a vacation in Yosemite National Park. It was love at first sight. The towering granite cliffs, the cascading waterfalls, and the vast, untouched wilderness captivated the 14-year-old Ansel. He took his first photographs of Yosemite with a Kodak Brownie camera, a gift from his parents. These were simple snapshots, but they marked the beginning of a lifelong obsession. Yosemite became Ansel's sanctuary and his muse. Every summer he would return, exploring every nook and cranny of the park. He learned to hike, climb, and survive in the wilderness. He even joined the Sierra Club, a conservation organization dedicated to protecting wild places. He would go on to serve for many years on the Sierra Club's board of directors and became a prominent voice for environmental protection. Ansel's passion for nature wasn't just about pretty scenery, though. He wanted to preserve these places for future generations. As Adams grew older, he found himself torn between his two passions, music and photography. It was a difficult choice. In his early 20s, he was still seriously pursuing music, but a pivotal moment came when he met the photographer Paul Strand. Strand's bold, sharply focused photographs had a profound impact on Ansel. He realized that photography could be more than just a hobby. It could be a powerful form of artistic expression. He decided to dedicate himself fully to photography. He knew it wouldn't be easy, but he was determined. He was also a little bit of a rebel and didn't like how popular photography of the time had this soft focus and romanticized images. He felt it was too sentimental, but also thought there was just a beauty inherent in reality and sharp focus, and he wanted to capture that. Now, Ansel Adams' revolutionary ideas attracted a group of like-minded photographers, including Edward Weston and Imogen Cunningham. Together, they formed Group F64. The name refers to a very small aperture setting on a camera lens. The aperture is basically the hole that lets light into the camera. The bigger aperture is going to allow more light in for a quicker exposure, and the smaller aperture is going to let less light in, and it's going to require longer exposures. But it also allowed them to achieve incredible sharpness and detail in their photographs from the foreground all the way to the background. They wanted their images to be crisp and clear, showing the world in all its intricate beauty. Interestingly, though, that technique did not allow him to capture all subjects in sharp detail. Running water would become a blur, giving his photographs of rivers a silky, smooth, almost dreamlike and misty quality. Adams would use this to create the contrast between the flowing water and the still landscape, making the photos more dynamic and engaging. In addition to that small aperture technique, Ansel Adams, along with Fred Archer, developed the zone system of photography, which is still used today. The zone system is a technique for managing light and achieving precise tonal control. It involves visualizing your scene and assigning different areas to specific zones of brightness, ranging from pure black, which would be like zone 0, to pure white. By understanding how different zones correspond to exposure and development, you can pre-visualize and capture the exact tones you desire in your final print. This allows for greater control over the final image, ensuring that the highlights retain detail without sacrificing rich blacks. Although it was originally designed for film, as I said, the zone system remains relevant even today and in digital photography. Its principles of pre-visualizing and understanding tonal range are essential for achieving optimal exposure and creating impactful images. Even with digital editing tools, grasping the core concepts of the zone system helps photographers make informed decisions when capturing and processing photos, ultimately leading to better results. Now, on the personal front, Ansel Adams married Virginia Best in 1928. They had 2 children, a son and a daughter, and the family often resided in Yosemite, where Ansel established a photography studio and workshop. Virginia, an accomplished pianist, inherited her father's Best's studio in Yosemite, which later transitioned into the Ansel Adams Gallery, managed by the family for many years. Virginia would play a crucial role in supporting Ansel's career. She managed his archives and contributed to his legacy even after his death in 1984. Now, throughout his career, Adams received numerous commissions, probably most notably from the Department of Interior, which asked him to document the national parks and monuments. In 1980, he actually received the Presidential Medal of Freedom, recognizing his contributions to both art and environmentalism. Now, Ansel Adams is widely credited with helping to elevate photography to a fine art form. But his legacy extends beyond just the breathtaking photographs. He inspired countless individuals to take up the medium, but also to appreciate and protect the natural world. Now, after a short break, we're going to take a closer look at one of Adams's most memorable photos, which also helped to launch his career. I'm talking about Monolith, the face of Half Dome, from 1927. The creation of Ansel Adams' iconic photograph Monolith, the face of Half Dome, is a story etched in the annals of photographic history. It's a testament to his profound connection with Yosemite National Park and his mastery of the medium. It was 1927, and Adams was already intimately familiar with the park's majestic landscape. He envisioned a photograph that would capture the essence of Half Dome's grandeur. Now, capturing this massive cliff face was no small feat. It demanded a strenuous hike. And remember, photography equipment in the 1920s was heavier, bulkier, and more delicate than what we're working with today. He had large format camera equipment, but also fragile glass plates. He was accompanied by his future wife, Virginia Best, and a few companions, and they went on a miles-long trek, ascending from the valley floor to a vantage point that offered the desired perspective. The final leg of that ascent involved navigating a precarious rocky outcrop known as the diving board. One misstep could have resulted in a disastrous plunge. But he had a vision, and so Adams pressed on, determined to reach the spot where he could frame the monolith in all its glory. Now, beyond the physical challenge, this required a keen understanding of light and a lot of patience. Adams knew the perfect photograph depended on the precise alignment of the sun, the moment when its rays would illuminate the face of Half Dome, while leaving the surrounding landscape cloaked in shadow. He waited, observing the subtle dance of light and shadow until the scene before him mirrored the image he had pre-visualized in his mind's eye. This ability to see the final print before even releasing the shutter was Adams's superpower. Today, photography is instant, but historically, it required patience and very deliberate action. As the golden hour approached, Adams only had one unexposed glass plate remaining. This single chance to capture the scene before him demanded absolute precision. He composed the shot, focused the camera, and then, in a moment that would forever alter the course of his career, he made a critical artistic decision. He chose to place a dark red filter over his lens. This would dramatically darken the vast expanse of the sky, rendering it almost black in the final print, and creating a stark and breathtaking contrast against the brightly illuminated granite face of Half Dome. It was an unexpected choice that showcased not only his technical understanding of filters and their effects, but also his artistic daring. Developing the negative back in his darkroom, Adams must have felt a surge of excitement as the image materialized. He knew instantly he had created something extraordinary. The resulting print of Monolith was a revelation, a powerful and dramatic portrayal of Half Dome that transcended the pictorialist style prevalent at the time. Monolith quickly caught people's eyes, captivating both critics and fellow photographers. The image captures the vast expanse of the landscape and the verticality of the Half Dome, all in high contrast and sharp focus. You can see every detail of the rock face. The dramatic juxtaposition creates a sense of awe and reverence for the natural world. The composition is carefully balanced, with the towering cliff face anchoring the image and drawing the viewer's eye upward. The use of the dark red filter further accentuates this verticality, emphasizing the scale of the mountain against the sky. Of course, the landscape also feels like it has this linear perspective, these diagonals that give it a depth to the picture. And all of it is in sharp focus. Its bold composition and technical brilliance marked a turning point, not only for Adams, but the medium of photography itself. The image was featured in exhibitions and publications, rapidly gaining wider exposure. Monolith, the face of Half Dome, transformed into an emblem of Yosemite, an iconic representation of the American West's untamed beauty. Its widespread reproduction in countless books, posters, calendars, you name it, cemented its place in the visual lexicon of the 20th century, making it one of the most widely recognized landscape photographs in history.
This concludes this week's episode of Who Arted, part of the Airwave Media Podcast Network. If you found this tolerable, please leave a rating or review on your favorite podcast app. You can find images of the work being discussed this week and every week on social media at Who Arted Podcast on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, and of course on the website whoartedpodcast.com. Podcast done.